Dave made this beat.
Welcome to Say Like a Champ, episode 184. It's your boy A-Dub.
And your boy Striz back in the building. What's good, SLAC fam? What up, dog?
What's good, man? So I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, but I think I'm hearing some echo.
It's probably because of the road. I'm on the road right now. Hold on. Let me see if... Can you hear me better before?
I can hear you. Yeah, if you want to try before.
Yeah. All right. Let me take the Bluetooth off then.
Sorry about that. That's good. While we're getting everybody into the building, we got Moms already. Hi, everybody, she says. We also got Pops in the building. Good evening. And Strizzy's going to be right with us, but he's on the road, and he's just we're going to get his audio set up right. But I messed up. I think I asked him to switch something, and they gave us an echo, so that's my bad. But let's try it again.
You good now? Better?
Yeah. Okay, we got you.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think the Bluetooth made the echo. That's what it was.
Got you. Okay, cool. We also got Kelly in the building. Happy Tuesday. Welcome, Kelly. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to be back. Lots to talk about in the world of sports this week. Definitely want to touch on the Ja Morant situation. Also, the franchise tag deadline was today in the NFL. So we got lots of things to talk about for sure. But before we do, Strizzy, I just wanted to check in with you and see how you were doing, how your week was.
Oh, man, doing pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Just picked up my daughter and I'm on the road. She's doing track for high school now, so that's what, you know what I'm saying? I'm close. I'm like about a mile and a half from the crib or whatever, so I'll be there soon. But, you know, again, a lot of stuff. The Ja Morant stuff is crazy. My boy Lamar and the franchise tag. John Jones coming back. So, like, you know, a lot of stuff happened, man. So it's definitely a pretty good week in sports. I love seeing the pictures of, you and wifey Grace, you know what I'm saying, on your cruise or whatever, man. I was, you know what I'm saying, low-key jealous, man. The scenery looked beautiful, man. So I'm happy to have you back, but I'm glad you guys got to do your honeymooning, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah, it was definitely very nice, and I appreciate you and Marcus as well holding it down while I was out. I listened to the show on the way back a little bit when we were able to get back on the stateside, and I appreciate you guys holding it down. You did a great job with the PowerPoint too, fam. So that's what's up. And we're gonna have a generic intro in there too, so that way if we need a backup intro, we got an intro ready to go all the time. So you know what I'm saying? So we're learning, and also episode 184, that's what's up. We're streaking towards 200 pretty soon, man. Before we know it this summer, we're gonna hit 200. So we're gonna have some special plans for that for sure too. I think though we can go ahead and get into it though. Want to welcome in Unk. He also joined. Hello, fam, and also Anthony Weston Jr. jumping in on the Facebook side. Welcome to the show. Appreciate having y'all with us. And yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and jump into this first topic. I'm gonna kind of break that down while Strizzy gets home safe to the crib. Let's make it happen.
All right, Strizzy, you ready? You know we got the flag football championship this weekend, okay?
Got it, coach.
We won 3 times in a row, right? We going for the 4-peat. I got the play, okay? This is going to be the secret play. I'm going to draw it here, but we're going to have to burn this board down because we can't let anybody know, okay, what the secret play. Okay, so make sure you're ready to memorize it, okay?
Got it.
It's better than the annexation of Puerto Rico, okay? This has got nothing on that, okay? We haven't named it yet, but we'll figure it out. And boom, that's the play. Exactly, 4-peat on the way.
All right, let's get the graphics going. We haven't seen that one in a while. So first up, we want to talk about the franchise tags. The deadline to franchise tag NFL players was today at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we have a collection of the tags that were used. Not too many, honestly, used this year. But the biggest one right down to the deadline was Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore Ravens are franchise tagging him. But they did put him under the non-exclusive tag, which means basically other teams can offer and sign him, and they have a chance to match. But if they do sign him away, then they'll have to give up 2 first-round picks. So kind of like a restricted free agency in the NBA, like Strizzy was kind of saying. That's a great comparison there. But Strizzy, your thoughts on the Ravens franchise tagging Lamar Jackson before we get into these others?
It's kind of funny. Like I understand like why they franchised him. You know what I mean, to an extent, because $250 million fully guaranteed is a lot to fully guarantee any player. You know what I mean? I think the outlier is the Deshaun Watson thing, but I kind of think what Lamar needs to understand is that like that's just it's not super realistic, right? Like, so I think that they really I really want to know what the Ravens are offering him to kind of see if like he's just being a little bit more stubborn than anything else. But he is deserving as a franchise quarterback. So much for them over the last couple of years, and you've seen how irrelevant they are without him. You know what I mean? Tyler Huntley hasn't shown them anything for them to be like, oh, you know what? If Lamar walks, we're fine because we got Tyler Huntley. That's not how it works, right? Like this isn't the San Francisco 49ers where Jimmy G gets hurt and all of a sudden Brock Purdy comes out of nowhere and surprises him. So
totally different story.
Yeah, it is, man. I think they have like they're not the 49ers, but I think they have the feeling that they are, and to me they're just not. So if somebody else ends up offering Lamar the money that he wants and he signs somewhere else, good for him, and sucks to suck for the Ravens. But in my opinion, I don't like the whole if he signs somewhere else they get 2 first-round picks. I think that's BS. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't do what you should have done to sign him. Another team did, so you get some. So like that's one of the things that I can't stand about the NFL. I think that they lose him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean that does give that team protection to change them or to try to like thwart other people from going after him, because they'll have to give up those first round picks. But you're right, though, it is kind of bogus. It's just another way for franchises to trap players, basically. But yeah, I was interested to see. I don't know how it'll affect people dealing with the Ravens or maybe wanting to sign with the Ravens as a free agent in the future. If that's how they treat their potential star players. But they're doing what they think is best.
Yep.
I do want to welcome Grace to the show, though. She says happy Tuesday and throwing the Shamrock out there. I can't believe it's March already. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Time is definitely flying by so fast. Also, we got Stephanie Washington joining the show. She says howdy, y'all. And we say howdy right back. Are you going to go upstairs and switch it real quick?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Just let me know the signal. But let me get to the comments right here really quick. Unc says Lamar to the Jets. That's interesting. We'll see what that happens with that. There's also another player who should not be named, or whatever, who Unc doesn't want us to talk about, that they're talking about the Jets too, meeting with him. Anthony Weston says this is a win for the Ravens, kind of, and him. He gets to test the market, and the Ravens get to match. So now they can see what his value is on the open market. That is true. But if I was Lamar Jackson and I went out to other teams and negotiated a contract, I'd be kind of pissed if the Ravens didn't just matched it, I think this is his chance to get away. I hope he does. So Pop says Kirk Cousins got a fully guaranteed contract. I understand Lamar could get hurt, but they have to pay him or let him go. I agree with that too. I think if Kirk Cousins got one, maybe Lamar Jackson's better for that. But that's kind of a rough one, though, because Lamar Jackson plays different and he stays hurt. So I don't know. Anthony West says the picks are nothing for a franchise quarterback.
I feel like that's kind of
Oh, go ahead.
You would still I agree with that, but I also don't agree with that because yes, 2 first rounders for a franchise quarterback is not that big of a deal, but this isn't a trade, right? It's not a trade. You guys didn't pay him. Too. So if they want to trade 2 first rounders for cool, but that's not the you either pay him or he walks. So
I think we lost Strizzy a little bit there. But I get what he's saying, though. It's not exactly the same as a trade if you're going to do it like that. But Anthony Weston kind of saying the picks are nothing for a franchise quarterback if they want to give that up. Anthony also saying the Browns gave up more for Watson. That's true, but that was kind of an interesting subject. Unc says, "Don't do it, A-Dub. Don't say his name." We're going to continue to go away from that. Let's talk about the other franchise tags that did come while Strizzy transfers over to his computer. Tony Pollard, I want to speak on that one. America's team, franchising Tony Pollard. I'm really excited about that. I do think that he won't play under the tag, though. I do think that they'll just use this extended time to get a long-term deal done with Tony Pollard. And I think that spells the end of Zeke's time in Dallas, unless he comes back on like a crazy type of a lower salary on that one. I think it almost have to be like whatever he's making next year would have to stretch over 3 years or something like that if he wants to end his career as a Cowboy. So I do like the Tony Pollard move, though. And I do think that they'll sign him to a long-term extension in the future. Josh Jacobs was another interesting one that got franchise tagged after, they were talking about, potentially benching him in the preseason last year and all this other stuff. He went out and had a great year, and the Raiders, had no choice but to franchise tag him. But still interesting, though, the franchise tag for running backs is $10.1 million. The last running back on that table is Saquon Barkley, who he got the franchise tag only after Daniel Jones got a deal. Basically, they were saying Daniel Jones would have got that franchise tag if they didn't get a long-term deal done with him. But I did want to know, Strizzy, your kind of thoughts on the Giants bringing back both Jones and Saquon.
I think Pop says it all the time, right? Like, your franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees or whatever. Something to that notion. You know what I'm saying? Sorry if I butchered that, Pops, but you know what I'm saying? Like he's right? I feel like because the Giants did pretty well in the for the season last year, got to the playoffs, got to the second round, they're not going to have that pick, right, to go after one of like the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks. And I feel under the coaching staff, I think they probably brought out the best or close to the best with Daniel Jones. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they lock him up. They've got a good guy. The offense looked pretty decent last year, and maybe if they can get some more actual receiving weapons for Jones, because let's be honest, he didn't really have any receiving weapons last year, right?
Right.
They had Saquon doing quite a bit, which knock on wood, thankfully he didn't get hurt last year because he was doing a lot.
He had a resurgent year, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely did. So maybe they can get some decent guys at receiver in the draft or in free agency to kind of help him out. But you have a guy that you can win with, you keep him, right? So I kind of agree with it, but Daniel Jones isn't one of my favorite quarterbacks out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm still not a believer in Daniel Jones, if you will, right?
No, I feel you on that one. I do think that the way that they're doing these quarterback contracts now, though, they're a little bit inflated, right? And it looks like a lot more than it kind of is, or what it might end up being, because kind of like how baseball contracts used to be, it's like, that those last like 2 or 3 years, like they're probably not even going to play into that balloon contract, right? So
exactly.
We'll talk more about that on the next slide, but I do want to run through the rest of the franchise tags. Deron Payne from the Commanders, that just made sense. He was too good for them to let go. Yeah. And I think for him, he'll be cool with that because he'll be making plenty of money for this next year and then have a chance to maybe go to free agency again. Definitely. And then Evan Ingram for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had a great year after moving over from the Giants. I think that's going to be good for him. And it's crazy, though. Tight end, I think their tag is like 12.5 or 13 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So even more valued than running backs these days, which is just kind of crazy, but makes sense since they can affect the passing game and block. So, But I didn't get to get your thoughts on Tony Pollard, though. What did you think about that one? Were you surprised with the franchising them?
So I wasn't I guess I was kind of surprised at the tag, but we always talk about how like running backs can have a dime a dozen sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But like I just feel like the last 2 years, man, he's been the best running back on your team. So not even just last year. I think the year before that too, he surpassed Zeke in my opinion. Right. So, I feel like he's gonna help Dak so much more in the fact that like he did so well on the ground and he does so well as a check down receiver, right? So maybe they're looking to do some other things, which is why they franchised him and didn't get him a long-term deal. Mm-hmm. But I like it, man. I think Tony Pollard is really, really good. He falls under that kind of
CMC and the running back out of the Chargers. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he does everything. You know what I mean? Maybe not the best blocker. You know, so that's why they have Zeke come around and do all that ground and pounding. You know what I mean? But I really like Tony Pollard, man. He's a great running back. So I'm, for you guys, I'm glad to see him stay.
Yeah, me too. Most definitely. And I do think that they'll work out a long-term deal later. I just think it buys them more time. But yeah, and the funny thing is too, is like he has been so good and kind of produced a lot for his touches, but also they have preserved him, right? They used up Zeke and they've kept him, kind of bottled up a little bit. So it's like, don't let him go now when he's in his prime and you've kind of prepped him for this moment to be kind of a number one. Like, don't let him go and do it somewhere else. Let him do it here. And then Zeke, definitely he's not going to be able to play under that same contract because he's owed so much next year. But he can come back maybe as a glorified fullback, pass blocker like a Jerome Bettis did at the end of his career, kind of, but maybe a little bit better than that.
Yeah, it's a little bit better than that, bro. Yeah, but I just kind of feel bad because like, what was the other running back that Todd Gurley. They really did the same thing with him, man. Like they just grounded him into the ground for so many years, and we didn't really get to see him really get a full-blown career out of it. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? Like I kind of thought the Cowboys did a lot of that too with Zeke. You know what I mean? His first couple of years, they just like up the middle,
he ran the ball like crazy.
You know what I mean? So we'll see, but hopefully they do right by Zeke. He's done a lot for them. And you don't hear anything from him, right? Like I like a lot of dudes like that where he's not out there complaining about old touches or I got to split time with Pollard or none of that stuff. Like he's been quiet. He just goes out there, does his job, and that's a professional. You know what I mean? So hopefully they continue to do right by him and keep him around if he wants to retire a Cowboy. You know what I mean?
I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what they will do. But also, I think it's also like payback for what happened when he went to Cabo. Like now you can't say nothing else because he left to Cabo and did the whole holdout thing and he got paid.
Yeah.
Now as he's continued to climb, they're like, we'll be loyal, but you better not. You know what I'm saying? You better not complain about whatever scraps you get. So
we don't want to hear none of that.
Let's see. Let's see real quick before we move on. Unk said Cowboys supposedly to sign DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Ramsey. Pop says, I don't like that. I hope they don't trade for old Hopkins, trade for overpriced Ramsey, or sign washed up OBJ. Keep going with you. We draft as good as any team.
Yeah, I'm with Pops on this, actually, on all of this. I think Hops can still do some good, but I feel like he's been so injury prone lately. Y'all just gonna get stuck with another, paying another guy who's not gonna make it to the season. Like he probably won't be there. You know what I mean? At the end of the season, Ramsey, man, he was getting exposed last season. You know what I'm saying? He was definitely getting exposed last season. And as far as OBJ goes, I feel like it's done. Like if he didn't make it back last year, another year it's only gonna make it worse, right? Like you don't get better the longer you're out of the league. Like things only get worse. So I'm kind of with Pops. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I'm like I also saw I think Carolina was also looking at Jalen Ramsey, but I'm same thing. I'm like, stay away. We don't need to trade nothing for him. We got some picks back in the draft. We got our first one. We're straight. Just
be done with it right there.
Exactly.
Let's see. Pops though on the Zeke thing says because Zeke immediately held team hostage to get paid. He is done. We'll see. Let's move on real quick though. I want to buzz through these quarterback signings that we have had so far. So kind of a special circumstance. Free agency doesn't start until next Wednesday. So we'll do a kind of a free agency prep show next Tuesday when we talk about NFL talk. But we do have Daniel Jones. He's re-signing, of course, because he, because he was coming back from his same team. So, and then we have Derek Carr. He got the special situation because the Raiders already released him. He did sign with the Saints, and then Geno Smith as well, going back to the Seahawks. So I wanted to talk about the contract numbers though. Daniel Jones, 4 years, $160 million. That's really good considering where he was and barely them picking up his 5th-year option. Derek Carr, 4 years, $150 for the Saints. Maybe trying to pull things back together and make a run at the NFC South. What did you think about the Derek Carr spot?
I liked it, and shout out to Marcus. I think Marcus called that one. I think it's either there or the Bucks. But I like it. You know what I mean? I think it's really good for them. They've been kind of going through this quarterback roller coaster since Drew Brees retired. But I was actually going to bring this up. Anthony just said, love the move, but the Saints are constantly in salary cap hell, and he's right. Right. So they're lucky enough. They did pick up Callaway, the rookie. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. So he's cheap right now. You know what I mean? But definitely probably I might even say best quarterback available right now. Since Lamar got franchise tag, because honestly, I don't really believe in Aaron Rodgers anymore the way he used to be. Right. At least he hasn't played like it. So the one thing that was consistent with the Raiders over the last 6-7 years has been Derek Carr. So as long as he can get in there and just continue doing what he's doing, and we don't see a decline, I think they'll be fine from that aspect. So for the money, he's not old. He's still somewhat young. You know what I mean? So I think it's not a horrible contract. You know what I mean? It's not bad.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is his fourth year is like worth $50 million of this contract, and none of it's guaranteed. By then he'll be through all of his guaranteed money. So chances of him actually playing under that fourth year contract, they'll either redo it before then or he'll be out of there before then if it doesn't work. So but at least for him to show face, and to kind of get near the money he was making again, when with the Raiders.
Exactly. Not to mention that division is so up for grabs right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
depending on what happens with the Bucks, they're trying to shed a lot of salary. The Panthers, now they didn't get their quarterback, so where do they go with that? So yeah, they have a chance, to kind of bounce back in that division pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm really hoping the Panthers actually trade up to grab either the quarterback out of Florida or even the quarterback out of Ohio State. I like Bryce Young, but I don't trust Bama quarterbacks. I never have.
Yeah.
Not to mention his pro day was horrendous.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of rough. And I do want to do, because the combine did just pass, and I don't want to totally skip over the combine, but I do want to do like more of a combine breakdown after free agency and before the draft, right? So as we get ready to draft, and really trying to talk about whose stock rose or fell with that. But Anthony Richardson from Florida, yeah, definitely rising. Especially after the pro, I mean not the pro day, the combine. So
you look good.
We'll see. We'll talk about that for sure. Geno Smith re-signing with the Seahawks. I think that's cool for him to get his shot. That's good money for him and where he's at in his career. Yeah. And who knows? They could go out there and make the playoffs again. I think that's really kind of cool for him. I'm happy for him.
Same. And I heard too, like he's betting a lot on himself, that I think the contract is very incentivized, right? Like, so a lot of it is basically Geno Smith telling them, like, I can do all this, and that. I'm going to do all this and this and this. And that's how he's going to make the majority of his money. I think like 40 million of it's guaranteed or something like that. So I think the other 35 is like incentives and stuff. So look out.
That's legit, though.
He's coming for his money. He got paid.
Right, and he served his time as a backup and learned the ropes. So whatever happens from here, Geno, great job. You know what I'm saying?
Hats off.
So, let's move real quick to which is our last slide. I did want to talk about the some different players that are potentially going to be cut or have been cut already. We got the dude from the Dolphins, Butler, who after becoming the highest paid corner only a couple years ago, getting released by the Dolphins. And I'm wondering if maybe a Cowboys reunion might come of that. But we got other people on here. I wonder what Anthony Weston thinks of Frank Clark also. And you guys may or may not have talking about Leonard Fournette last week, but I did want to ask if this is it for Leonard Fournette, or do you think he has like one more run in him, one more little season in him?
He might have one more run somewhere, but he's not going to get the run he wants, so he'll probably just end up being cut again. So I think wherever he goes, he's going to serve as most likely a backup unless someone's just really hurt. Running backs are injured all the time, so maybe he finds a spot to kind of take that spot. But yeah, this might be it.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And I know you guys already talked about Carson Wentz and Marcus Mariota last week too, being cut already, but just some interesting ones. Some good players that might hit the market. Kendricks from Minnesota is a really good linebacker. So we'll see what happens. Anthony, he says Frank Clark with the sad face. Unk says Fournette on his way out. Yeah. Bud Dupree, also from the Titans, a good edge rusher. But it's so funny that how many of these players, it's like right after maybe a year or two after signing big contracts.
Yeah.
So it's like I wonder when the cycle of that is going to stop, where these people just go out and get the big money, but they're signing contracts that they know they're not going to make it to the end of.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know, but we'll talk more about free agency as that gets rolling. I think next week we'll kind of maybe go over some of the top free agents now that the franchise tag is over, and I think Wednesday will be the official start of free agency next Wednesday. So we'll be able to see kind of where we think some people will land on that.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley back after suspension. I think that's about it.
Where's Ridley again?
What's that?
Jacksonville? Where?
Yeah, to Jacksonville. Yeah, because he was traded there, but he hasn't played with them yet.
No, that's huge, man. That's huge. They showed up at the end of the season last year. I think Doug Peterson's got them on the right track, and I really think the Falcons are gonna miss Ridley. I think he was really, really good for them as their number one, and I don't know. I think he'll do big things at Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I'm happy for him. It sucks that he lost a whole year, and especially because he was already away from the team for like mental health reasons. So hopefully this year off has given him some perspective, and he'll come back strong. Like I'm wishing the best for him for sure. So
for sure,
that'll be cool. But we'll continue to keep this train moving as we go into our next topic. All right, so the big topic in the NBA we definitely have to talk about is the Ja Morant situation that's going on. I don't even exactly know how to describe it, but there's been a series of different little things, little incidents, little rumors kind of surrounding Ja Morant and his camp and his family, if you will. That's kind of escalated over the past, I'd say, like 6 weeks, month. To now, this weekend, when Ja Morant was on Instagram Live in a gentleman's club in Colorado, and held and showed to the camera what appeared to be a firearm. He's since stepped away from the team for a couple days, kind of like a self-imposed suspension to get himself right. He made a statement, and the team made a statement. But since then, also, police are investigating the issue with him having a firearm in a public place. And then also now the NBA too investigating like the origin of the firearm or the alleged firearm, because, there could be, some immediate suspensions and minimum suspensions for having a gun on team premises or a team plane, things like that. So the situation is kind of escalating. But Strizzy, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on the whole Ja Morant thing.
Stupid, right? I'm like, the first thing that comes to my head is dumb. It's just, it's unfortunate. From what I've heard, just like the Twitter space and stuff like that, like apparently he's talking about possibly checking himself into rehab for alcoholism. I guess he's had a problem with it. Some videos have surfaced of him and his family on a private jet, I think during the off season last year. He had like a bottle of Terramana, which is Dwayne The Rock Johnson's alcohol. And man, he was drinking it by himself, just taking it to the head. Like it was crazy, but I mean, like no cup, no nothing, just taking it. No faces made after it. So like you could tell, like he'd be drinking, but he's got his family and stuff on there, and his dad and his mom, and you just see like his dad kind of, being his friend. You know what I'm saying, instead of being his dad, right? Like, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I really want to see is I feel like this isn't who Ja Morant is. I don't think this is how he was raised. I don't think it's how he was brought up. You look at a lot of the pictures and things of that nature. It's 2-parent household. He's always had his mom and his dad, his sister. Like they never really slummed it. They never really lived in the hood like a lot of these basketball players who come out. You know what I mean? So, seeing a lot of the stuff that is going on with him, you can just tell like that's not who you are. That's not how you were raised. It's not how you were brought up. So why are you acting like that now? You're a $200 million man. You are a superstar in the league. You're not an all-star. You're not a run of the mill guy. You know what I mean? Like, you got $200 million contract. Kids look up to you. You got a new shoe deal. All of these things, you know what I mean, because of people who believe in you, and you're doing things like this. Not to mention the issue with his boys pointing the gun at somebody in a car a couple weeks ago, right? So this isn't even, the first incidents, right? So, I want him to get the help, and I hope it's not a PR move, right? I hope this isn't something where the Memphis Grizzlies PR team came to him after this, like, hey, look, we're gonna figure this out, we're gonna fix this. What you're gonna do is you're gonna write a statement, you're gonna own up to it and take time away from the team, and then you're gonna come back and everything will be fine. Like, I really hope that if this is something that he really has going on, that he really actually takes the time and gets help. And again, looking at his parents, dude, like, there's a time and place. As a father, there's a time and place to be your kid's friend, but then there's also a time and place to be their dad too, or to be their mom too. So I hope his dad stops being his friend for a little bit and actually comes to his son's need, because that's what he needs right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well said. Some of the comments here, Unk says, Jackass, moms he carried on the team playing too. Yeah, which now they're investigating to see what might happen with that. Pop says, I'm disappointed. Thought his dad would guide him better, but they might be showing their true colors. Yeah. Anthony West says, I hope he gets himself together. I don't like writing people off at their worst moments. Most definitely. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, so I think it's definitely an issue, and I think it's it's not just with Ja Morant, but it is with, like, I think a lot of young people today, and I can say that now because we're older, right? And have active, right? But it's like, certain things are glorified in different pieces of our culture, in our music, and in our movies and things like that, where it's like, he might be just living a different type of life, where it's like, this isn't like a fantasy, it's not really a game. And how many people would do so much to be in the position that he's in, and how much he has to lose. So hopefully he can kind of reconcile with some of that, get that together. And you don't need to act hard, you don't need to prove anything to anybody. Just go out there and be the success that you are, and hopefully not let the childish things get in the way of that.
Exactly. So, and then pay attention to the company you keep. You know what I mean? Like, if these are the type of dudes you're hanging out with, they're constantly getting you in trouble. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knows who these dudes are, nor do we care, right? So if you feel like you got to impress them because you make money and you do this and all this stuff, like, these dudes are going to do nothing to get you in trouble. I'm saying that because of Pops' comment. He said he doesn't need help. He needs to act like a responsible adult. I agree. I agree with what Pops is saying. Like, he does need to act like a responsible adult. And a part of that is looking around you and seeing who's around you and what's around you, and just being able to make better decisions, right? Like, that's what it comes down to. You can drink, you can have fun. Dude's young. He's 22. Like, he's young. He's not 22, 23 years old. Like, so, like, yeah, man, I get it. 22, 23, you gave me $200 million. Probably not making some of the best choices myself, but, like, I'd hope the people around me would be there to kind of pull me by my neck and be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, what I'm saying? So, it's just like Pop said, man, you got to be more responsible than that, man. There's a lot of people who look up to you for real.
Yeah. All right. No, I that's well said. We'll continue to follow kind of as that evolves and what happens with him. But I do want to talk about some on-court things. Since we've met last, Kevin Durant has played some games for the Suns, and we've seen what they look like. The starting lineup looks formidable. There's no doubt. The bench, a little thin.
A little shaky.
You know what I'm saying? Not solid ice, you know what I'm saying? Not ice might have a crack or two in it. Don't put too much weight on it. But no, a couple of good games, you know what I'm seeing. Obviously, Durant can kind of slide into any lineup and be effective. He's that type of a basketball player that he can do whatever it is really that you need done, and do it pretty well. But I want to hear your thoughts on Durant so far with the Suns, and then also we'll talk about the Mavericks game, which was a lot of fun the other day, and then the end of that too. But I want to hear your thoughts on the Suns with Durant so far.
Yeah, man, I completely agree with you. I really like Monty Williams, man. I think he does a really good job of kind of testing these lineups out. And now that he's got KD back, he can kind of test it a little bit more. One of the lineups that I saw was KD and just the bench, right? Some of these bench players. I think everybody, like, Booker, Ayton, and Chris Paul were all sitting out, and the offense was still running, and it was running through KD, and it looked fluent, it looked good, it looked nice, the ball was still moving. So, those are things you want to see going into the playoffs, right? Can I give my guys rest? Because like you said, they don't have the bench to kind of carry them for all of them to get rest at the same time.
Right.
But offense does look good. KD, Booker, he didn't miss a beat. His first game back, I actually thought he was going to kind of get a little bit of rest, right? But no, man, he played like that whole game, 30 plus minutes in that game, and then 20, 25 points, something like that he scored. So he looks good. Him and Booker are definitely having fun, which is important. But the lack of depth does scare me a little bit, and I think it should scare them a little bit too. But right now, they do look good. I don't think they've lost a game since they've been back, only like 2 or 3 games. But
Right.
the rivalry is crazy. Book and Doncic do not like each other. I love it. Love seeing. We don't really see rivalries in the NBA no more. So this one builds to be one. I'm here for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Definitely. I did like that at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Just for them to be, to definitely be like a good rivalry, like you said, like a healthy rivalry to have fun. And especially because you can tell, I think there might be a little bit of animosity on Booker's side because, Luka came in so quickly, right? He's younger than him, but he surpassed him like quickly, like it didn't take any time for him to reach his potential and then surpass that. And then Booker, still kind of finding his way in the league, even though, he's such a great talent, clearly, but still in that middle square between like that superstar, all-star, what are you, So I like that. I also like what Luka kind of said was basically, Booker started trash talking him up, but it was with 3 seconds to go, after Luka missed a pretty easy shot. But Luka's like, just next time, don't wait till the end, what I'm saying, to talk, don't wait until the game's over. And I kind of agree with that,
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. Even this scuffle, you can, when they got in each other's faces, like they're both smiling, they're both, they're just talking basketball trash, So I love to see it. And Anthony said the best, man. Dallas does match up with them really well. And considering how close this game was, even with KD on the roster, you could really see Dallas on top again, honestly, in a game of 7. So this one's probably going to be the matchup to watch, in my opinion, come playoff time if it happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I was thinking, I mean, my thoughts came to the same thing where I'm like, okay, like a year ago, Dallas was already supposed to be overmatched, outmatched. And then once Luka found a way through that team, it was only a matter of time before they walked them down and then blew them out in that final game. Now you have, that the Suns have gotten even better, right? Making over their roster and adding KD, but it's like Dallas is still right there with them. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, it is a nice rivalry in the West. We don't really have too many good rivalries in the West right now, at least active ones like this.
Yeah, so, exactly.
So I'll definitely take it. But I love Luka, man. He's just so cool.
Me too, man. So, I just love his personality too. Like he hypes up his teammates. Like it's funny. Like he does a lot of that foreign complaining. You know what I'm saying? That you see from a lot of the foreign guys. But man, when it comes down to needing a shot into the game, or your team's put the ball in that man's hands and he's gonna make it work.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Anthony Weston says Golden State, Memphis. That is kind of shaping up to be a good one, especially when I love how Clay, kind of activates more for the Memphis Grizzlies. For sure. So I like that one. Pop says Booker's another fake tough guy. Always seconds left and no chance to lose. Yeah. I just still like how Booker still gets so rosy in the cheeks. So when he gets mad and frustrated, he's like a little kid. You can see it on his face. Unk says we need a modern day Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason type of guy to mess with Luka. That's funny. But Luka would have his back though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Luka's good like that. But
yeah.
But
I like how I don't. The funny thing is, I agree with Pops. I think Buck's a little bit of a tough or a fake tough guy, but I don't think Luka's a fake tough guy. Luka be talking trash to everybody and anybody. Always has been. Like he talks a lot of smack on the court, and he'll get in your face on his own. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I really like Luka, man. He's by far one of my favorite players in the league right now. I mean,
But it's one of those like, like has game, will travel type of thing because his game is so good. And I think that confidence, that's what that gives him because he's like, he'll go to anybody. He'll talk to anybody because it's like there's no one that he's, afraid to match up with or to compete with. Like exactly. Anthony Weston said, dude was playing with adults as a teen. So I think that's cool. And I think he is one of those guys, though. He kind of does remind me of like, we play pickup basketball, all your life. And there's always just like the one that's kind of unassuming, but it's like, dang, like they just got game and they can just do a little bit of everything. He's like that guy on the court where he can just do whatever he's got to do for his team. So
he's great mid-range 3-point. He got a nice post game. like it's crazy.
Yeah, most definitely. I did want to take a quick look at before we end the NBA talk of just the standings real quick. And I know you guys kind of did your top 4 predictions last week. And I was kind of looking at it too. I do think that the West is going to be very interesting. I think that the Suns are going to be in play. But I'm wondering about the Nuggets as well. I do think I heard you guys talking about Joker, like he probably wouldn't get the 3-peat, but I do think he's going to get it. I do think he's going to be the MVP again. Yeah. And I think that'd be so cool. But I don't know if anybody's ever done 3 in a row since like back in the day, like Bill Russell or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's happened in a very long time. And I think it goes to show his dominance, but also maybe that there isn't that kind of threat to him. Also, Giannis already won it twice, right? So they're like, we need to just give it to somebody else. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's kind of funny because, like, I wish they would just give it to who deserves it the most, right? Like, even if it's one player winning it every other year, all right, y'all still need to be better. You know what I'm saying? Like Joker is killing it right now. I mean, like he is. He is making the Denver. They're in first place for a reason, right? Like, like even in the games I think they're gonna lose, they end up winning. The games they're down, they catch up and win, and he's a big part of it. So, same thing with Giannis. Like, 1-1, both conferences, and they're just that much better than the rest. Honestly, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy right now, but I like it though. I like to see dominant players, and this is the star-driven league, of course. It's all about the players, and he's one of the best right now. No question about that. This is funny. Anthony Weston says someone on social media said Russell Westbrook will be a Lakers legend if he keeps the Clippers out of the playoffs. And you never know, that might happen, but it does look like they're bound for the play-in. I'm just hoping that the Lakers can stay afloat without LeBron, kind of ride AD's back and make sure that they at least get into the play-in.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sad if they end up missing the playoffs again with LeBron on the roster. Unk said Sacramento was my dark horse, and I really like Sacramento, but I'm afraid that once the playoffs come and the games slow down, it's not going to be quite the same for them. They kind of remind me of the Suns when it was like Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, and they were just like running and gunning on teams during the regular season. Yeah. And then, come playoffs, it just didn't work out the same.
Yeah.
But I like the Kings, though.
Me too.
Yeah, I like
too. They've been dead for a really long time, so it's kind of nice because it's fun. It's fun to watch them. They've got a lot of talent. They've got some players on the team, but I kind of the same way. I feel like they, depending on who they play first round, they might be out first round.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They're young too.
Anthony Weston says Lakers are going to catch Utah. I hope so. I think so. They should. And the West is really tight. If you see between 6 and 12, it's like only a couple of games.
2.5 games.
Yeah. So the other thing is on the East side, the Brooklyn Nets, man, I wish they could make a run somehow. Like that'd be so cool. I'm kind of rooting for them a little bit, even though they're they got nothing left and they're the wasteland everybody was trying to leave. Yeah. But you never know. They might come together and scrap a little bit. Do a little something.
I'm really enjoying watching Mikal, play there. I mean, he's been balling, man. He's 40-point game, 38-point game, bunch of 20-point games. Like he's really flourishing as the best player on that team right now. And it's kind of funny. It's funny how much I hated the Brooklyn Nets when Katie Harden and Kai came together. But now I'm kind of low key rooting for him because I love Bridges. So I'm kind of with you.
Definitely, I agree. That would be cool. But he has been balling out as well. I think that fueled him a little bit, getting traded away like that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anthony West says, I'm hoping the Knicks upset somebody. They've been playing really well lately. So you never know what they might be able to string together.
Yeah.
Unk says, if AD had a mean streak, he'd be the best player in the league, needs killer instinct. Maybe he can find it. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to, with the fro and everything, like he needs to get the head wrap, do some Bruce Lee, something. But I wish he could channel his, his inner meanness or something and kind of take over and dominate for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers would still have a chance, but
I think they do.
But yeah, I think that's all I had really for basketball.
Yeah.
Unless you had anything else, I think we'll just cruise right into other sports and wrap this thing up.
Yeah, let's get it.
I did want to talk about the fights this weekend, and definitely want to get into the John Jones. But before that, I did want to talk about the homegirl Alexa Grasso. She did her thing, and she was a big time underdog going up against the champion in women's flyweight, and she did her thing. You know what I'm saying? She touched her with her hands early.
Yep.
And had the champion on the ropes. The champ was just trying to take her down consistently. Like that's all she was trying to do is basically just go for takedowns and score points like that. And then she ended up finishing her with the rear naked choke.
Yep.
That was super dope. Like that was a really exciting fight for me. And I was kind of rooting for her since she was the underdog.
Yep.
Just another one of those like kind of you never know type of moments, type of fights. But I liked it. It kind of reminded me of Ronda Rousey, like when she was on top, but then finally she kind of started getting touched, and people just was like, "I'm not scared of you anymore."
Yeah.
And then it was a good competition. So,
Yep.
So I really liked that. Also, though, the John Jones fight, him and Cyril Gain, it was a pretty quick fight though. But seriously, what did you think of John Jones returning?
Phenomenal, right? It's funny seeing him in big boy status, right? Man, he came in there and he cut Gunn off. I don't want to say off guard, but yeah, he dominated, man. He choked him out in the first round after getting kicked in the the lower region. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
he got kicked in the lower region early, and right after that came out, and it's going. I think when he fights Stipe, it's going to be it'll be a better fight, but I think he'll take Stipe as well. But I'm just glad to see him back. You know what I mean? I hope he has a couple more fights in him. Roll through. I feel like you beat Gunn, then you go and you beat Stipe. At that point, it's kind of over. You know what I mean? With Francis Ngannou no longer in the UFC, it kind of takes that away. So,
right.
But you go through those two, and you really don't got to fight nobody else.
I mean, that's true. Like, there isn't really that many at the top of the division. And for this to be his returning fight to the UFC after 3 years and also his debut at heavyweight, and he went straight to the championship, like straight to the top.
Yeah.
That's cool. I agree, though, that it was a good fight and he looked good. And he definitely looks big. He looks strong. But I was wondering if like it was almost too quick of a fight for him to kind of get acclimated potentially to the power of heavyweights.
I think it was.
And that's the only thing that sucks is like it was supposed to be a warm-up fight, but the way it ended, he didn't maybe get that true warm-up.
No, exactly.
And Stipe Miocic is a beast. Like he
is a beast.
Either, so
he is a beast, 100%. Like Stipe is at the top of with Francis Ngannou gone, like it's Stipe. Right. And then it was gone, and now at this point now it's John Jones, I guess, but. Like this is gonna be a real test, you know what I'm saying? Like Stipe is no joke.
I'm kind of sad about Francis Ngannou, and I'm hoping that this gives a chance to maybe for UFC to renegotiate with him, try to lure him back in. But the thing is, I kind of feel him. He was there putting in the work, right, and carrying the division and keeping the division exciting for all these years. Yes. And then they wanted to come and give all the spotlight to John Jones and kind of like give him way more money, right, than Ngannou is getting. So. I understand him, not necessarily just taking whatever contract UFC gave him, but at the same time, I really want to see that fight. I want to see John Jones versus Francis Ngannou. If
everybody did, this was supposed to be that fight. Like this was supposed to be him and Ngannou, and I don't think a lot of people understand how underpaid these MMA fighters are. Like Dana White does not pay his fighters well, and he has a couple of big name fighters. Like obviously, like that's why everybody wants to fight. Conor McGregor, right? Because he's
because he gets paid like crazy.
Exactly. And John Jones is one of those dudes. And I think, like you said, Francis Ngannou's been carrying that division practically on his own for the last 2 years. And just and the scary part about Francis Ngannou is he's getting better with every fight. Before it was just knockout king, he's knocking you out in 12 to 15 seconds. But now this man has a defense. He's got a ground game. He can wrestle now. That's scary. For someone to be that strong, that powerful, but also now he has a complete MMA game, like it's legit scary. I love John Jones, but he wouldn't have been able to manhandle Francis Ngannou like that. Like he's just too strong.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? I don't know.
Maybe one day. Maybe we'll still see it. But Dana White's going to have to not be so greedy about it. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
For sure.
I do want to give a special shout out to Stephanie Washington. She said, I'm working the WCC championship tonight. Got to head out. Go Zags.
Hey.
And that's awesome that she gets to work that. And I can't believe it's back around again already. This year. And she's a big Gonzaga fan. So that's what's up. And it reminds me, too, we are going to do a bracket challenge. And I sent out emails. I tried to reactivate the league from last year. So you may or may not have gotten an email, but it's going to be on Yahoo. And we got to be ready to put the brackets in after the selections are done next weekend. We'll put the brackets in. So that is already active. And I put a link in the bio as well. So if you go to saylikeachamp.com, you can join that as well. So we want to get a bunch of people involved in that since it's kind of like our pick 'em contest. So,
heck yeah. So
that's what's up. Real quick here in the comments before we keep it moving. Anthony Weston says, why didn't I know John Jones is Chandler Jones' brother? Yeah, there's like 3 of them. Yeah, that's so funny. He said, I'm late. Yeah, their whole family is athletic. John Jones could have probably played football too, but he went the fighting route.
Yep.
But Pop says John Bones Jones dominating as ever, greatest ever. I hope that there's another fight soon with him. He said he wants to be active. Yeah, and maybe that's the best way for him to stay on the right track. Unk says, let's hope he stays disciplined, stays out of trouble. I hope so too, but I think that's the thing. If they can be like, all right, it's early in this year, you can fight 2 more times this year. That's going to keep him motivated, keep him going, and maybe knock a couple more people out real quick. So
yeah, exactly.
Get some more.
There's actually some really, really great fights coming up, man. I think there's another UFC in I think another 2 weeks. It's Izzy fighting old boy again.
Oh yeah,
which I'm actually really excited for that. Just only because Izzy, if he doesn't get caught in that last round, I think he wins. Like he wins that one. Not to mention in the first round, he essentially knocked him out, but saved by the bell. So I love watching Izzy fight. And there was another one I think after that. That's another really, really good one. But I forgot who it was. I looked it up this past weekend. So another couple of good fights, coming in the next couple of UFC events.
Yeah, I think that's good for them. I like when they're back. I like when they have, some good fighters going. But it is hard for them because the fighters don't last long. So they got to build them back up. You know what I'm saying? They got to tell us the stories again and make us fall in love and care about these fighters so they can sell them to us. So,
right.
Marcus says, sorry to make it in. Crazy day. Love y'all, man. We love you too, brother. No doubt. No problem. No worries there. We appreciate you checking in with us though. And we're with you always. Sure. Appreciate Marcus again too for helping out last week and holding it down. Also, Pop Stroke is open. We got to get to that soon. Tiger Woods' mini golf spot.
I saw it.
It's open in Westgate. I was wondering maybe if Marcus or you had already been, but we're gonna make a trip out there for sure soon, so we can check that out. I'm really excited about that. Yeah. Other thing that's interesting that's coming to Arizona as well is Live Golf is coming to Tucson, not next weekend, but the weekend after. And I think that's pretty crazy. I'm wondering kind of what that scene is going to be like, but it's pretty cool after, they do such a good job with the waste management. Now Live Golf trying to get in on the Arizona golf scene.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that does. And then also part of what's coming to Arizona, we got the World Baseball Classic, which starts actually tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's 4 different pools. And so here we got Pool A and Pool B, and it's awesome because they're kind of have one of the different players from each of the represented teams, represented nations. But we got 5 different teams in each pool, and a lot of good players are going to be in it. Definitely Shohei Ohtani for the Japanese in Pool B. They're actually hosting that one in Tokyo in a couple days. And then we have Pool C and Pool D, which are here in the Pool C is the one that's here in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, and that's happening this weekend. I definitely want to go to a game. That one has U.S., Mexico, Colombia, and Canada, which is pretty legit. And the USA Mexico is on Sunday night at Chase Field, but it's already sold out. So that one, I had a feeling that would be the hottest ticket. So that's going to be a pretty good one. But I'm interested to see the U.S. They have a lot of good people going, especially including Mike Trout. And then the other side, Miami, Florida, Pool D has a lot of cool teams too. Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Dominican Republic. That's going to be a very competitive section.
Really competitive game. Yeah.
So I think hopefully it's like U.S. versus Dominican Republic in the final. That'd be pretty gangster.
Yeah.
But we're going to watch some of the World Baseball Classic as well. And I'm going to see if maybe you can get us tickets. The USA versus Canada, that game is definitely not sold out. And that game is like next Monday. So maybe we can try to sneak out to that one. So let's see. Oh, Pop said someone I work with is going to live and said tickets are really inexpensive. See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking they might even be letting people in for like canned goods. It'd be like just to fill it up. They're like, we need to get, build up our name or whatever. But I kind of want to check it out because there's a lot of good golfers over there too.
No, there really are though. A lot of PGA players have converted, so like they got some pretty good names out there now.
Right, and I like it. Like they do the shotgun start, so like everybody doesn't all start from one and go slowly at a time. Right, they'll have people all starting, so that way it's a lot of action. And if you're like sitting on one hole, you don't have to wait for the golfers to get to you. Like there's going to be golfers starting at that hole. So. I think that might be interesting. I wonder if Marcus is interested in that. He'll have to let us know. But I think that's pretty much it. We're going to definitely keep things moving next week with show 185. And I just want to also, again, remind everybody about the March Madness contest. Hit us up for that one. I want to get a lot of brackets going and see. And I think on that one too, you're allowed to put up to 2 brackets in. So I'm gonna put like a bracket, I think, and then a all like crazy upset bracket. Yeah. And I'm sure none of them will do well, but we'll put it out there anyways. So that's what's up with that. Anything else you want to mention though, or hit up real quick before we drop off of here?
Not really, man. Last week, I told Marcus and I bought some new golf clubs.
So nice. I heard you guys talking about that. Yes, I have my clubs too. And
now we got to get out there. Now, so now we got to get like a.
Marcus said our window's closing. Our window's closing. So we're gonna have to do that soon. Also, Unc did say right now he did put in here that he's looking forward to visiting in June. We're gonna have to put together some good things. I heard you guys talking about basketball. Definitely, I'm in if it's the indoor gym. Right. I'm good for that. I'm also good for some barbecue or some foodie spots because Unc's been sending us some different foodie spots. So we'll make something happen for sure when he visits, but we'll try to stay cool too.
Definitely.
Sure. So that's what's up. That's what it is. We're gonna go ahead and sign this thing off. That was Say Like a Champ, episode 184. We will see y'all next Tuesday for your Tuesday tradition. But until then, it's your boy A-Dub
and your boy Shrizzy.
Peace.